Hello aspirants, welcome to Excel Civils Academy. My name is Shailaja Arati, one of the senior faculty members in Anthropology with an experience of 8 plus years in this field. In this session, let us try to debunk all your myths related to anthropology, like what is anthropology, the syllabus structure, who can offer anthropology. By the end of this session, I will try to give complete clarity on all these aspects, making you take a decision whether you can offer this subject or not. Okay, without much delay, let's start this session. So the first thing what you need to understand is the pattern of the examination. Okay, we will start from the prelims. So if you are talking about the scheme of the examination, it starts from the prelims, next we have mains, and then the personality test that we colloquially call it as an interview. So now let us focus on the mains part, because if you are talking about the prelims, it is just a qualifying paper, which I won't say that it is very simple to crack prelims, but it is also tough to crack prelims. But once you clear the prelims, now the real game starts, because this is actually the scoring part. If you are talking about the scheme of the mains, first in paper A you have this Indian languages, which is once again a qualifying paper. So whatever the languages, there are 22 languages which are recognized by a schedule in the Constitution of India. You can choose any one of them. And next the paper B, here it is English, once again a qualifying paper, and then starts the essay. So the aspirants here need to understand the thing is that if you want to score really good in this main scheme, you need to focus on three aspects, that is the essay. Essay is one of the scoring part, and next comes the optional. Optional is also scoring part, and next we have ethics and integrity paper. So if you are good at these three aspects, because if you are talking about the general studies 1, 2, 3, 4, that is common for everyone. Maximum what you can score, like 15 marks more than the other aspirants if your answer is too good. Okay, so maximum 15 to 20 marks, that type of edge can come in GS. But essay, optional and ethics is the real game changer. It can make your rank soar up high. Okay, so next essay, which you need to definitely focus on. In order to master essay, you should be good at various other things. Read newspapers daily, try to understand, have a view, have a normal mediocre view. Okay, and next let us focus on the next thing, that is the paper 2 general studies 1. So we call this as the GS1. GS1 consists of the Indian heritage, culture, history, geography of the world and the society. So here please understand that there is society, anthropology syllabus overlaps with the society part and certain part of the history also. So in history also there is some overlap of the subject. What is that overlapping part? That is, in the ancient history we have Paleolithic. So normally I will call it as the lithic cultures. Okay, let me erase it. So that is the lithic cultures, or we call it as the prehistoric cultures. Okay, anthropology syllabus overlaps with that. And next, coming to paper 2, so we call this as the general studies 2. Okay, here we have governance, constitution, polity, social justice, international relations. Okay, anthropology subject has overlap with the social justice, because we talk about many vulnerable societies in our country. And not only that, okay, some schemes which are related to them, and related to polity also. Okay, if you are talking about the SCs and STs who are present in our country, the backward classes, so we will study about the articles which are related to them. So how government is going to empower that vulnerable societies, and apart from that, for the women also, women empowerment. So all these things we will actually study in that. Okay, so next we see the general studies 3, that is GS3. Here we study about the technology, economic development, biodiversity, environment, security and disaster management. And next general studies 4, that is ethics, integrity and aptitude. This is one of the scoring part. After essay, this is one of the scoring part, and here comes the real game changer. Okay, the OG, what we call, that is the optional subject paper 1. Right now there are certain optionals which are making good score. So for an example, anthropology, sociology, PSIR, all these are one of the most happening optionals right now. People who are opting these particular optionals are getting more marks. Aspirants who are opting this are getting more marks. Okay, so now here comes the questions what usually aspirants ask us. So why we should choose this anthropology? So the good question, why? Because there are many optionals. Okay, why we need to choose the anthropology? And next question is that, okay, so is it well structured or not, whether the syllabus is well structured or not? So now my answer is that why you should choose the anthropology, there are certain criteria why any aspirants should choose one particular kind of optional. For an example, the criteria for you to select an optional, the first thing is that whether you have interest in that particular optional or not. Okay, interest plays a very important role. And after interest, okay, the other most important thing what the aspirants need to keep in mind, whether it is scoring or not. Okay, even though you have good interest in this, if you don't if you are not able to score, then what's the point? Because mains is completely, it's not qualifying. The marks which you score in the mains will decide you what type of cadre you are going to get. Okay, so these are the two important criteria. And the third important criteria is that whether the material related to it is available or not. Okay, so these are the three important things, and anthropology satisfies all these three aspects. Okay, so anthropology satisfies all these three aspects, and moreover, Hyderabad is hub for anthropology. If you are talking about sociology and PSIR, okay, still Hyderabad is not a hub for that. Okay, aspirants who are in and around Telangana, Andhra Pradesh in south, even from people from north also can come to Hyderabad. We are also providing you offline as well as online sessions. And next, whether the syllabus is structured or not. Yes, the anthropology syllabus is so structured, it can be completed in 4 to 5 months. Okay, and next, it will engage the students because it is so interesting. So lot of students usually understand that anthropology talks about only biological evolution of human beings. They only think that it is a biological evolution of human beings. This is a misconception. Of course, anthropology talks about the biological evolution of human beings. Apart from that, anthropology also talks about the society and culture. Okay, whatever you are seeing in and around you is part of anthropology. If you are celebrating some festival, is part of anthropology. The type of food what you are eating, the type of dress what you are wearing, the language, okay, so how it actually originated, all these part, all of these actually are part of anthropology. So anthropology is definitely one of the very interesting part. And next, the most important thing, it is highly scoring. Why it is highly scoring? Because most of our questions are static in nature. Repeated questions, and the questions are static in nature. Okay, because anthropology is one such discipline, it is yet to get established in our country. But if you are talking about the other social sciences, they are already established at the university level and at the college level and etc. But anthropology is still going to get established. So that is the reason, okay, why the syllabus is mostly static. And next, it is very scoring. It is almost, we can equate it to math. If your answer is good, you will get good marks. And next, so it is more static and less dynamic in nature. I am not 100% excluding that it is not at all dynamic in nature. Yes, there is also some dynamic part which is present in anthropology. What is the dynamic part? That we call it as the tribal anthropology. Okay, so tribal anthropology is definitely dynamic because constantly there will be many government schemes. Not only tribal anthropology, if you are talking about the vulnerable sections like the BCs, OBCs, and next if you are talking about the women and the other government schemes, what the government is formulating for the empowerment of these people, okay, all these things comes under the dynamic part of the anthropology. And if you are talking about the paper 1, if there is some scientific discovery which is done in any remote corner of the world, that is can be a prospectus question for you. Okay, so yes, there is also some dynamic part which is associated, but if you compare with the other optionals, we are very less dynamic and we are more static in nature. If you are talking about public administration, very dynamic, geography dynamic. Okay, so even sociology is dynamic, PSIR, though it is completely dynamic, but we are more static in nature, less dynamic in nature. Okay, and it overlaps with many general studies. Okay, in already the previous slide I have explained you. In another slides I will explain you what are those overlapping part, how anthropology is going to enhance even your general studies also. and availability of the good guidance. Okay, so here in Excel Civils Academy, we are actually going to satisfy all these criteria and provide you a good guidance with mains answer writing and providing the personal mentorship and etc. Okay, and it is beneficial for the interview stage also. Okay, so these are the good points which are related to our optional. Next, moving on. So now this is the question whether anthropology is scoring optional or not. So let's see some statistics. Okay. Now the question is whether anthropology is scoring optional or not. Okay. So let's see some statistics whether it is scoring or not. Okay. So the success rate is so high in anthropology. In every year you will actually see within 1 to 100 ranks there will be many aspirants who has actually taken this as their optional, and top rankers are available. So let's see some statistics. Okay, can you see here 362 all India rank 45 Lakshmi Nagappan. So this is a very good score if you are scoring 362 in optional, and this has happened in the year 2018. Okay, so this has happened in the year 2018. So now I started comparing right from 2017. In 2017 Sachin Gupta, he has scored all India rank 3 and his score in anthropology is 339. And next we see all India rank 1 Andip Durishetty in the same year 2017. He has actually scored 318 in optional subject. And in 2017 once again all India rank 7. So within 10 ranks, okay, within the 10 ranks we see the first ranker, the third ranker and the seventh ranker, all of them has taken anthropology as their optional. And look at their score, it is more than 300. Okay, and in 2018 362 is an all time good score. And next we see in the 2020 it is 320 Shubham Kumar. Okay, once again all India rank 1. And next we see 306 2021 all India rank 17 Narayan Amit, and 325 2022 all India rank 110 and Nidhi Pai. So these are only some names which I have mentioned. Okay, but the list is very lengthy. Okay, now the another usually the doubt like how important is one's background. So a lot of students who has actually completed their BTech in their graduation, and those people who has taken arts as their background, lot of them actually come to me saying that ma'am, we don't have this physical part which we have left long ago in 10th class itself. How are we good at anthropology? Can we get good score or not? So my answer for this, it is like any aspirants who has interest in the social sciences and those people who has the science background or non-science background. Okay, anyone can choose on anthropology. Why? Because it not only focuses on physical anthropology. Physical anthropology is only a segment in paper number 1. There are only certain chapters which focuses on the physical anthropology. Apart from that, there are also another topics which will play a level playing field for everyone. Okay, so now how graduation is different. So in order to answer this question, let me actually explain you. So now let us see how graduation is different from the optional preparation. So in 2017 we already understood the all India rank 1 Andip Durishetty. See, he has completed his BTech, that too from BITS Pilani. And what is this? Electronic and instrumentation. Okay, and next we see the BTech in civil engineering. She is from IIT Hyderabad. Okay, all India rank 3, and that is from 2022. And in 2023 all India rank 3. What is her optional? Okay, so that is BA, and that too in geography. So here graduation, in whatever graduation you have taken, so that should not be a hindrance for you to take this particular optional. Okay, so anyone from any kind of graduation can offer this optional and they can score good in anthropology. Now let us see the another usually question. So I am actually trying to answer all these questions what usually aspirants have in their mind. So overlap with the general studies, that's what we have promised. Let us see what type of in what GS topics it is actually overlapping. In GS1, so it is overlapping with the prehistory because we have archaeological anthropology, that is also one of the segment in anthropology. Archaeological anthropology talks about the prehistoric cultures. Okay, so prehistoric cultures, and in the Indian society we will study about marriage, family, kinship, religion, and apart from that Indian society, Jajmani system, Varna system, okay. So tribal problems, empowerment of the women, all these are we actually study in the anthropology paper 2, okay, paper 1 and paper 2. So which is completely overlap. So if you're good at anthropology, for you Indian society will be a very cakewalk. And next, the social justice, okay. So how you can actually provide justice for them, this is also one of the important topic, okay. And next, in GS2 paper 2, few topics in the polity and the governance, like how you are going to uplift the vulnerable societies, okay, and the policies which are formulated by the government for the upliftment of them, okay. And we will also read about certain articles. For an example, fundamental rights, we will discuss about the fundamental rights, we will discuss about the articles which are related to SCs, STs, OBCs, BCs, okay, and the minorities also. So these are all certain things which we will study. And in GS3, that is the internal security, ethnic movements. For an example, okay, so there are some Rohingya Muslims. The Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar are facing some ethnic cleansing problems. So the Myanmar, so this didn't happen right now, okay, earlier. So way back in 2016 to 2017 and etc., there are some Muslims who are present in Myanmar, and in Myanmar the major section of the people who are following Buddhism, okay, and there is a minor sect of the people, they are following Islam, and they are called as Rohingya Muslims. And then there happened a religious persecution, and the people who are present in Myanmar started justifying their act, saying that they are doing this ethnic cleansing. And if you are talking about the northeast, constantly it will be in the news. Recently Arunachal Pradesh, okay, Nagaland, the Nagaland issue, okay, we will study about all these things, the ethnic movements, Khalistan issue, okay. So we will study about all these things. And SNT, which is biotechnology, because physical anthropology is one such thing. We will start from the cell, and we will study about the cell, not only the cell, okay, the organelles which are present in the cell, which will enable you to understand science and technology, especially the biological part, very nicely. And next, if you are talking about the GS4, the ethical dilemmas, the tribal rights, tribal development, okay. So these are all certain things how you can actually master this if you are good at anthropology, okay. And next, so what is Excel Civils Academy optional program? So I have answered all your questions usually the aspirants have in their mind. Now comes our part, like what we are going to do, how we are going to justify you, okay. So we will give a comprehensive coverage of the syllabus. Everything will be taught. It is not like that we will only teach socio-cultural anthropology and leave physical part, or we will teach only the physical part and leave the rest of the things, or we will just give you some handouts and will tell you that you just go through, and if you have some doubts come to us. We will just not do all of those, okay. Whatever which is mentioned in the syllabus, every keyword is actually justified. We will elaborately explain you everything. And next, it is answer writing practice. Even though if you are very good at understanding the subject, but the key is that you should be good at answer writing also, okay. So that part we will actually do. Answer writing practice and model answers will be given. A test series will be conducted for you. I will only evaluate. It's not like that we will hire someone else, okay. And we will also provide the model answers. And next, it is the personalized mentorship and the doubt resolution, okay. So this is actually done, and strategy to score. So we will explain you how you can score 300 plus in anthropology, and this is possible also, guys. This is not an impossible task. It is possible. Only the thing is that you should follow whatever we are saying, okay. So already the admissions are open. So for the more details, please contact these two numbers, okay. So this is the extension. It is 9100433442 or 9100433445, okay. You can contact these numbers, and our team will provide you complete information on that, okay. Now let us understand what is anthropology, okay. So here comes what is an anthropology. Lot of students actually say that it is the biological evolution of human beings in just one line. I wish anthropology is that simple, but anthropology is not like that, okay. In order to understand anthropology, you need to understand this word that is called as anthropology. The word anthropology is derived from the Greek language. It is derived from the Greek language. And who has coined this term? This term is coined by Aristotle, the great philosopher, okay. He has coined this term. So it is a combination of two words. Let us break down this word. Okay, it is a combination of two words, that is anthropos and the logos. Okay, what do you mean by logos? Logos means, so in lot of things you will actually, in lot of words you will understand this: sociology, psychology, biology. Okay, so ology is a root word that is present in suffix. Ology, which means science of study. Please understand that it is, which means that it is a science of study. And what do you mean by anthropos? Anthropos means man, which means man. Okay, so anthropos, which means man. Okay, initially it used to be man, and logos means which is science of study or knowledge. Okay, so the word anthropology, initially it is coined by Aristotle, and later what has happened, it was first used in English language by a British philosopher and scientist. His name is William Bevel in the year 1820. In the early part of 19th century he started using this. Okay, so initially anthropology is called as, it is a science of study of man, but later what has happened, the 50% of the world population, who are they? That is the women. Okay, so there is some women liberation movement which was at its peaks in the United States, and the speakers of the movement has criticized the meaning of anthropology, saying that it is very gender specific and it is completely ignoring whom? It is ignoring the women, because if you are talking about science of man, then what about the women? So they started questioning. They started questioning anthropology, like, are you not interested to read about the women? Then what has happened? Anthropology, the scientists of anthropology had to revise the meaning of anthropology, making it as gender neutral. Right now the meaning of anthropology, it is the science of study of humankind. Science of study of humankind. Okay, it is no more man, but it is a science of study of humankind, making it gender neutral. Okay, so he used, so here we need to understand that the Weevil has used this phrase to designate some of the human nature, society, and what is it comprising of? Analysis of language. So why we are focusing on language? Because if you are talking about the animals, animals also have life. Okay, they can also have some emotions. Okay, they also have some family structure. If you are talking about the highest primates, right now we have the silverback gorillas, who actually stay only on the mountains. They also have some kind of family structure. Okay, but what is so unique in human beings, the so unique features, we are unique in certain way. One of the unique factor is that we are good at language. Okay, so we have developed this language. So our language is very unique to human beings. Why language is that important? Because it has made interaction very important. Okay, interaction became very simpler. So he started analyzing the language, the social structures. What do you mean by social structure? Okay, if you imagine this as a building, in this building, if there is, in the first floor if you have office, in the second floor if there is a gym, in the third floor if you have cafeteria. Okay, the building as a whole is a structure. Okay, so in that there are various other things which are present. Just like that, in a society there are many other structures. What are those structures? Family, marriage, kinship, political organization, economic organization. Okay, we will study about the, he has actually mentioned that, he said that, okay, according to him anthropology is study of human nature, society, and in this human nature and society, which consists of language, social structure, physical and cultural features, and the process of human evolution and development. Okay, so this is according to him. Now let us see the phases of evolution in the anthropology. Anthropology, like many other social sciences, it did not actually develop all of a sudden. Initially it used to be part of sociology, but there are some unique features which are only present in anthropology. For an example, our research strategies. Sociology doesn't focus on the prehistoric cultures, but we focus on the prehistoric cultures. Sociology doesn't talk about the biological evolution of human beings, but we actually focus on the biological evolution of the human beings. We also talk about the cultural and social aspects. That is the reason anthropology is called as a whole science. Okay, so if you see the phases of evolution, so in the 1871, what has happened? In 1871, the first anthropological chair was founded at the University of Oxford. Okay, in the later part of 19th century, it got separated from It got separated from sociology and it has established altogether as a new discipline. And next in 1881, so the American Association for the Advancement of Science created a branch for anthropology. So these are all some trivial information what you need to focus on. So this can be asked in the mains examination, but mostly it can be asked in the personality test. Okay, and the first anthropology department was created in the year 1884 at the University of California, Berkeley. And next, the intellectual underpinnings of the cultural relativism, which are explained by Franz Boas. He is very, very important. He is called as the father of American anthropology. Okay, so here what has happened? The philosophy and anthropology, which was printed in the year 1899. So we have so much of trivia. Just go through this slide. I will elaborately explain you once you enroll to our classes. Okay, and next, let us actually focus on the syllabus of anthropology. Let us focus on the syllabus of anthropology. So here, just like any other optionals, even our anthropology also has 2 papers. Anthropology also have 2 papers. What are they? Paper 1 and next we have paper 2. Okay, so paper 1 is mostly static. Paper 2, in paper 2 you will see some certain dynamic part will be present in the paper 2. So it starts from 1.1. It talks about the meaning, scope and the development of anthropology. So how the anthropology in due course of time. So in the previous slide, what you have studied, okay, apart from that we will study more things in this particular part. What is the meaning, what is the scope and the development of anthropology. So what is the scope of anthropology? I have already explained you what is the meaning of anthropology. Okay, the scope of anthropology is always vast. Okay, so it is always vast. Why it is always vast? Because we cover biological, social and cultural aspects of human beings. When you are covering every aspect of human beings, then the scope of that particular science will always be vast. Okay, and 1.2 talks about the relationship of the anthropology with other disciplines. What are they? That is the social sciences, behavioral sciences, life sciences, medical sciences, earth sciences and humanities. And next 1.3, it talks about the main branches of anthropology. What are they? Socio-cultural anthropology, biological anthropology, archaeological anthropology and the linguistic anthropology. Okay, so next 1.4, the 1.4 talks about the human evolution. So the human evolution and the emergence of man. Lot of people has this misconception saying that human beings has evolved from monkey. That is actually not correct. Okay, we did not evolve from monkeys. Even the monkeys and human beings, all of us, chimpanzees, gorillas, I mean to say the primates. Okay, all the primates have one common ancestor and from common ancestor we have actually emerged. Okay, so we will discuss about all these things. Once again, a very most important topic and very interesting topic also. Okay, from the, so this is actually knuckle walking. So if you carefully observe this picture, in this picture you can see this is the knuckle walking. What do you mean by knuckle walking? Like walking on the knuckles. Okay, like how the chimpanzees, gorillas usually do. Okay, so from this level up, earlier we used to be quadrupedal also. Earlier we used to be quadrupedal. What do you mean by quadrupedal? Walking on the 4 limbs. Okay, and next, well, slowly this transition is happening. Okay, so he became a knuckle walker and finally the erect posture. Once again, one of the very most unique feature only which is present in the human beings, just like language. Okay, language is a very unique part for the human beings, and erect posture is also one of the very most important thing what you need to focus on. And then characteristics of primates, which we will discuss in the 1.5. So who are these primates? We will discuss about who are all these primates, like old monkeys and the new old monkeys. Once again, a very most important thing. And 1.6, in the 1.6 we will talk about the phylogenetic status, characteristics and the geographical distribution. Okay, so who, if you are talking about 1.6, so these are all some important extinct species. These are all some important extinct species. Okay, right now this is actually in the news. Australopithecus africanus is actually in the news, and this is published in 2025. So you can expect one question from this particular 1.6 in the coming mains examination, because 100 years are done, 100 years of finding by Raymond Dirt. Okay, he received one parcel from Africa. Okay, so Australopithecus africanus. Who are all these people? So these are all some extinct species of human beings. Okay, so here we come Homo sapiens, the nearest extinct person to the modern day human beings. The modern day human beings are called as Homo sapiens sapiens. We are called as Homo sapiens sapiens. We are not even Homo sapiens. Okay, so we are more than that. That is Homo sapiens sapiens. So we will study about all of them. What is their position? How they are different from the modern man? How they are different from each other also. Okay. And next 1.7. Let us understand about the 1.7. Here comes little. So this is a little edge to the people who actually offer biological background in their graduation or +1 and +2. Okay, it is not like a discouraging factor for the other students. Here aspirants need to understand that you don't need to do any research and development, all this. Okay, there is no need for doing R&D, like dwelling into completely understanding every aspect in the thing. Okay, whatever we teach, that is more than important for the examination. Okay, so 1.7 is actually misplaced here, because 1.7 should be placed along with 9th chapter in the paper number 1. But anyways, the syllabus is saying so. But while reading if I am explaining the syllabus, if I am actually taking up the classes, so if I started with 1.7, after completion of 1.7, we will straight away skip to 9th chapter in the paper number 1. Okay, so 1.7 talks about the biological basis of life. What is that? That is the cell. Okay, so it talks about the cell, the biological basis of the life. And here and after that, so after that it is a completion of the first chapter. By this first chapter is completed, and next 1.8. okay, 1.8, this comes under the archaeological anthropology. 1.8 actually comes under the archaeological anthropology. So if you are carefully observing anthropology, anthropology has various other segments in this. Okay, what are those segments? Those segments include socio-cultural anthropology. This is one segment, and we see the physical anthropology. This is another segment, and next we see the Indian anthropology. This thing you will study in the paper number 2, and finally tribal anthropology. The whole of the syllabus can be categorized into these 4 subcategories, these 4 subtopics. Okay, so we see the socio-cultural anthropology, physical anthropology, Indian anthropology, and tribal anthropology. The last 5th topic, that is the archaeological anthropology. That is the archaeological anthropology. Okay, so this topic 1.8 comes under the archaeological topic. Okay, so after the completion, so it is talking about the principles of prehistoric archaeology and the chronology. What do you mean by that? Prehistoric means the prehistoric societies are those societies during that time script is not developed. Okay, we will study about them. They include the Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic. Okay, so these are certain topics. Remember this point, because 1.8. So while we take up the classes, it is not like that we will go in the same order after completion of 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Okay, so we will complete 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. But from then onwards, okay, we will categorize the entire things in certain way, because 1.8 along with there are certain topics which are present in paper 1 as well as paper 2. We will club all of them and we will study in that manner only, because if you are actually studying in this bits and pieces manner, what will happen? You cannot actually correlate the subject. Okay, and next 2.1. okay, now let us actually see the 2.1, that is the nature of the culture. Okay, here comes a cultural part, that is this can be categorized under the socio-cultural anthropology. So here we will study about the culture. What is culture? Okay, wow, what is so important in this? And next comes the nature of the society. So what do you mean by culture? So here it is a definition which is given by A.B. Taylor. He has authored a book. The name of the book is called as the Primitive Culture, which he has authored in the year 1871. So according to him, culture or civilization is a complex whole. Okay, you need to understand about these phrases. Okay, so you need to, all the aspirants who are actually studying civils, who has actually opted civils, the thing what you need to understand is that these keywords are very important. Don't skip the keywords. If you're skipping the keywords, some factual information while writing the answer, you cannot score good. Okay, especially in optionals. Whenever you're writing optionals, your answer should never be generic. Okay, if there is some thinker opinion which is available on that particular topic, you definitely need to quote it. And if there is some book which he has authored, definitely you need to mention. Okay, so it is according to him, what is culture? Culture is a complex whole which includes the knowledge, belief, art, morals, laws, customs, capabilities, habits acquired by man as a member of society. Okay, you need to by heart whatever the thinkers has expressed. Okay, so it is not like 100% you need to represent, more than 70% is enough in the examination. Okay, so this is what the culture part is talking about. And next, the 2.2, that is talking about the nature of the society. So this also comes under the socio-cultural anthropology, the nature of the society. So McLeaver, according to him, society is a web of social relationships. What he is saying that, he is saying that web of social relationships. Okay, because man is a social animal and definitely he need to interact with each other in order to satisfy his needs. What are those needs? That needs can be anything, whether it is a biological needs, the physical needs, or the economic needs, or the social needs. Okay, so social relationships are very important in order to satisfy his needs. Okay, and Auguste Comte, who is considered as the father of sociology, he viewed society as a social organism possessing a harmony of the structure and function. So imagine if there is no harmony which is present in the society, what will happen? It will lead to pure chaos. And next we see the functional point of the view. Okay, in the chapter number 6, in the paper number 1, we will actually understand about the thinkers' opinions, or thinkers, they belong to what kind of school. Okay, functionalism is also one such kind of school. So according to them, society is defined as a complex of groups in the reciprocal relationships. What do you mean by reciprocal relationships? Okay, so there is some reciprocity which should be present. For an example, we all elected the people who should rule us. Okay, what is their function? They need to formulate some policies. It is not like once they are elected they became the demigods and they doesn't look after the people. Okay, so definitely there should be some reciprocity. For an example, after a marriage is done, okay, husband has certain duties to perform and wife has certain duties to perform, children in the family has certain duties, elders in the family has certain duties, all of that is called as a reciprocity. Interacting with each other, enabling the organisms to carry their life activities, helping each other wish and accomplishing their tasks. Okay, so this is what functionalist point of view related to society. And next comes the structuralist point of view. Okay, structuralism is also one of the very most important thing, and the pioneer of structuralism school of thought is Levi Strauss. Okay, so according to him, he says this: society is a total social heritage of the folkways, okay, modes, institutions, habits, sentiments, and the ideals. Okay, so what is his opinion? He is saying that society is a heritage of the folkways. Okay, the folk society has some long history, morals, institutions, habits, sentiments, and ideals. So all of them together, according to structuralist school of thought, that is society to them. And next comes the marriage. Okay, so marriage is, so a lot of us, we think that marriage is very simple. Okay, it is a union of two people. Okay, so and at times in India, okay, we usually hear that marriage happens between two families, but that is not correct. Marriage doesn't happen between the two families. Marriage always happens with, okay, so people. Okay, so whether it is two people or more number of people who are involved, more husbands or more wives, or the group marriages, there are many types of marriages. Okay, marriage seems to be very simple topic, but it actually has lot of syllabus which is embedded in that. We will actually study about all of them, how marriage is different from each other society. So if you are talking about the culture, society, marriage, family, kinship, religion, for all of them there is no single definition which can justify every society in the world. okay, because there is lot of diversity which is present, so we definitely need to focus on that. And next 2.4 talks about family. Okay, so 2.4 talks about what? Family structure. So family is also one of the institution just like marriage, which is universal mostly. Okay, wherever you go, you definitely see a family structure which is present in their societies. Marriage is also marriage structure which is present in their society. That may be very different from us. It is not like that they are getting married in the same way how we are getting married, or the same rules which we are following, it is applicable to the every society. That is not like that. But yes, okay, family is also one such universalized structure. There are many types of families also. We will study about all of them. Okay. And next 2.5 talks about the kinship. What do you mean by kin? Kin means relative. Kin means relative. Relationship, that is none other than the relationship. With whom you will have relationship. Okay, so we have relationship with a lot of people. For an example, with your father and mother. Okay, the primary relatives to you. Your sister and brother, primary relatives. So, and once you get, and next grandparents. Okay, they are your secondary relatives once you get married. Okay, once again, wife is actually a primary relative, but the wife's parents or her siblings becomes your secondary relative, and then comes the tertiary relatives. Okay, we'll study about all these relationships, how it's going to impact the human society. Once again, kinship is one kind of social structure which is almost present in many other societies that may be different from us. And next we see third chapter that is economic organization. The economic organization, whether it is a barter system or it is actually some other system which is present, we will study about all these things. Okay, how band, society, chiefdom, okay, and a country like India, how this economic organization is working, what are the basic principles which are involved in this, we will read about all these things. And next comes the political organization. Once again, band, okay, chiefdom, who is going to rule whom, so whether they are enjoying absolute authority or not. Okay, so the political organization, how they are going to control the society in certain ways. Okay, so this is what we will study in the fourth chapter. And next comes the fifth chapter that talks about the religion. Okay, apart from Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism and etc., we have many more religions, okay, which you may have heard in your life or which you have never heard in your life. For an example, we have animism, animatism, totemism, nature worship. Okay, Hinduism is mostly an amalgamation of some of these aspects. Okay, so we will study about all these things. Okay, so what are all these religions are all about, what is this religion, how it actually came into the existence, what are the different types of religions which are present in the different societies. And next comes the most important chapter in the entire anthropology, that is chapter number 6, that is anthropological theories. What do you mean by this anthropological theories? The theories which are proposed by various anthropologists in due course of time. Not only the anthropologists, we also see some school of thoughts. This is how our discipline came into existence. This is how our discipline actually evolved. Okay, so the anthropological theories, they talk about the anthropological theories. The role of the anthropological theories is that they talk about the evolution of the culture, how the culture has evolved in due course of time. Okay, so because culture or society, if you are mostly talking about culture and society, they are not organic in nature. But if you are talking about the biological aspects of the human being, they are very organic in nature. The culture and society, for an example, if you are born, okay, so if you are born, you have some organs in you, because that is completely organic in nature. But immediately after you are born, okay, do you think that, okay, the other aspects of the societal things which are present, do you think that that is even applicable when you are in the womb or not? Okay, so there are certain aspects in the society and culture which are not organic. Okay, so we actually discuss about that. Classical evolutionism, okay, there are many things which are present. Classical evolution, structuralism, functionalism, okay, structural functionalism, cognitive theories, modern approach. Okay, we will study about all those. Cultural personality school, we will study about all these things in the chapter number 6. And chapter number 7 that talks about the culture, language and communication. Okay, culture you have already understood. Okay, but here apart from that we also will study about the language, communication, because these are the two important things. The language is a very important thing, but which is completely unique to the human beings, which made our interaction so simple. Okay, and next comes the 8th topic, that is the research methodologies in the anthropology. What do you mean by research methodology? The whole discipline has developed based on some research methodologies, okay, in which you will study about the fieldwork perspective, hemikinetic perspective, systems and processes. There are many techniques which are present in anthropology, how we have developed our subject, how we have covered lot of tribes or some particular section of the people, group of societies, and how our syllabus has actually developed. Okay, and next comes the 9.1. Do you remember that 1.7 chapter in the paper 1? 1.7 chapter in the paper 1 that talks about the cell, the biological basis unit of life. Okay, so that is actually misplaced. 1.7 should be placed here. Okay, prior to 9.1. Okay, 1.7. So after completion of 1.7, we straight away skip to 9.1 while I actually teach in the classroom. Okay, our classroom program is designed in that way. 9.1, here we will study about the human genetics. Okay, so we start with the very basic concept. Okay, so that is DNA. Okay, not even the genes, we start with the very basic concept DNA. From DNA we will actually progress into chromosomes, genes. Okay, we'll study about all these things. Human genetics in the study of inheritance. What do you mean by inheritance? It is not like property which you are inheriting. Of course, if your parents has left you a lot of property, okay, and if they are willing you to possess that, you will definitely possess that. Okay, but here we are talking about the inheritance in the physical traits. What do you mean by that inheritance? Like how you are looking, your complexion of the skin, your hair, okay, and your mood swings, whether you are slow to anger or we are very quick to anger, your decision making skills, okay, the color of your eye, the shape of your nose, okay, the color of your hair, okay, the texture of your hair. All these things actually depend on the inheritance, the diseases you are getting because of your ancestors. Okay, inheritance is one such thing which plays a very important role, and how you are going to inherit those type of physical features, it is because of the DNA and it is because of the genes. Okay, DNA and genes are not one and the same. So DNA, genes, chromosomes, okay, all of these things are very different. We'll study about all these concepts in the classroom. Okay, so 9.1 which talks about what? It talks about the genetics concept and the study of inheritance, and 9.2 talks about the Mendelian genetics. It talks about the Mendelian genetics. Okay, Gregor Mendel, he is one such great scientist who is actually an archbishop. He has proposed this. So he studies about the pattern of transmission of the genes, how these genes are transmitting. Okay, for an example, if your father has a curly hair, in my case it has actually happened. My father has curly hair and my mother has straight hair. Okay, but right now I have curly hair. From where did I actually got this trait? Okay, the answer is in 9.2. Okay, we will study about all these concepts. Okay, your height, your diseases. Okay, so he tried to explain this pattern of transmission of genes from parents to progeny. Who are progeny? Progeny are the children. Okay, in a single family cross, pedigree. Pedigree means the analysis of the family line. Pedigree is nothing but the analysis of the family line. We will study about that. And 9.3 talks about the concept of genetic polymorphism. Morphism which means changing. Poly means many changes which happens. Okay, polymorphism and selection. How we are actually changed. For an example, the interracial marriages. Okay, so how it is actually changed, how the criteria of selection of this we will study in the 9.3 chapter. And moving on, 9.4, chromosomes and the chromosomal aberrations. This is talking about the chromosomes and the chromosomal aberrations. What do you mean by aberrations? Aberrations which means errors. So if there is some errors which happens in the combination of these chromosomes, that will actually lead to diseases. Okay, what are those types of diseases we will actually study? So the human body usually consists of 23 pairs of chromosomes. It is not 23 chromosomes, it is 23 pairs of chromosomes. any mismatch in this 23 pairs of chromosomes will actually lead to error. Any problem in this will actually lead to error. Okay, so we have trisomy 21. Trisomy, what do you mean by trisomy? Trisomy means 3. Okay, so if you imagine this to be your paternal line, father, this to be the maternal line. Okay, from father you will inherit one chromosome, from mother also you will inherit one chromosome. And if you are taking any cell from any part of your body, whether it is from the hair or it is from the hand or it is from pancreas or the liver, if you are extracting one cell, in this one cell, definitely in this 23 pairs of chromosome, one set you will inherit from the father, the another 23 you will inherit from the mother. But in certain cases, because of certain factors, one of the parents will contribute extra chromosome. Then the presence of 3 chromosomes, this is nothing but the error which will lead to disease. Okay, we call this as a trisomy. Trisomy 18, Edwards syndrome, trisomy 13, Patau syndrome, trisomy 21, Down syndrome. Okay, we will study about all these concepts in this particular chapter, that is 9.4. And next comes the 9.5 topic. 9.5 talks about the race and racism. Okay, so immediately after seeing a person, you can identify what is the color of his skin, the hair texture, all these things. Okay, so we will study about the racism, how it has impacted and etc. Okay, and next comes the 9.6 topic, that is the age, sex, population variation as the genetic markers. Okay, we have certain genetic markers in certain population. For an example, if you are talking about the sickle cell anemia, what do you mean by sickle cell anemia? I'll give a very brief explanation for this, because the topic for today, it is like making you aware of the subject. Okay, for an example, the red blood cell, it has one particular shape associated to this. This is called as the red blood cell. Okay, but if the red blood cell is actually showing this type of shape, this is called as a sickle. What is the shape of red blood cell? It is not round, it is biconcave. What you need to understand is that there is one specific shape which is associated to the RBC, the red blood cell. But if the red blood cell, instead of looking like concave, it is looking like a sickle cell anemia, it's looking like sickle, then this is actually a disease. Okay, it doesn't have this capacity of transporting oxygen to the different parts of the body. So what will happen? So there are certain diseases which are exclusively found in certain kind of population, which we call it as the genetic markers. Okay, so age, sex and population, we actually try to understand all these things which are present. Okay, and next talks about the 9.7 concepts and methods of the ecological anthropology. What do you mean by ecological anthropology? Once again, a new topic which you are actually wondering. That is not nothing which is new in this. For an example, have you ever went to trekking? Have you ever visited Tirumala? If you are not a person who is actually present in Tirumala, or have you ever went to Kulu, Manali and etc. So once you actually go up high on the mountains or the hills, you will actually feel that pressure of cold air and etc. Okay, initially you will find some difficulties, but later what will happen, slowly you will acclimatize to that. Okay, adoption and acclimatization are two different things. Okay, apart from that, there are also many other concepts which has actually changed the patterns. We will study about those methods of ecological anthropology, how it has actually played an important role. And 9.8 talks about the epidemiological anthropology, the diseases. Okay, recently we are all the worst sufferers in the hand of a pandemic. Okay, so apart from that, there are many other diseases also. We'll try to understand. This is once again one of the dynamic part in the anthropology. What are the diseases which are in the news? You can expect one question from that. And next comes the 10th topic, that is the concept of human growth and development. So how the human growth and development, just look at this picture and this picture, it is all starting with one cell. Okay, the union of sperm and the ovum. Okay, so once that happened, okay, so then finally the baby is developed. The baby, once he is born, okay, so these are the different phases, and finally in his old age. Okay, so this is all what we will actually understand. This once again one of the most important topic. And next, moving on, the 10th concept. Okay, so the 10th chapter that is called as the concept of human growth and development. Okay, so yeah, we have studied about this. Now let us understand about the 11th chapter, that is the relevance of menarche, menopause, the bio events of fertility patterns, differentials. Okay, 11.2 talks about the demographic theories, biological, social, cultural. 11.3 talks about biological, social, ecological factors influencing the fecundity, fertility, natality and mortality. Okay, so certain economic concepts will also comes into this picture. Okay, population, which you study in the economy, we also need to, we will have a passing reference about all these things in the 11.3. Okay, so what is this? These are certain things which are related to the females. Okay, so she undergoes menarche, that is the initial phase where her body gets prepared for the menstruation. Okay, she hits the puberty, that we call it as a menstruation. Next comes the menopause after certain period of time, whether it starts from 45 years, okay, 45 years to 50, where her period cease to come. Okay, so that is a menopause. So what are the events, how it is going to trigger her in certain way, fertility patterns and differentials. Okay, we will study. There are certain populations where the population actually soars up very high, but in certain population is decreasing. So what could be the possible reason? The demographic theories, demography which talks about the population once again. Okay, the theories, biological, social and cultural, how the population gets affected. Okay, population gets affected because of various reasons. If you are migrating to new other place, okay, or it is because of the certain policies which are taken by the government. We will discuss about all these things. 11.3 that talks about the biological, social, ecological factors. Right now the both CMs of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, and not only the Tamil Nadu also, okay, they are encouraging their subjects to give birth to lot of children. Okay, so influencing the fecundity, fertility, natality and mortality. We will study about all these things. And next comes the 12th chapter, that is the applications of anthropology. What do you mean by applications of anthropology? Anthropology is applied in many things which you really don't know. For an example, if you are boarded a flight, okay, and if you are traveling by train, so traveling by train in the second AC or first AC, where it is very comfortable, but if you are traveling for the longer distance in the flight, and if you are traveling in the economy classes, then it is very difficult. Why? Because it lacks ergonomics. If you are sitting in certain place, okay, if the chair is comfortable, then that is okay. If it's not comfortable, then that is nothing but the application of anthropology. They take ergonomics into account. Okay, so the dresses what you are wearing, so and the helmets what you are wearing to your head, okay, all these things, these are all the applications of anthropology. Have you ever taken this MRI, CT scan? Once again, it is a application of anthropology only. In the defense equipments, in the medical equipments, in the sports equipment, okay, if it is related to the garments, okay, so where anthropology applications are usually seen. Okay, by this we have completed the syllabus related to paper number 1. Now let us understand anthropology syllabus related to paper number 2. Okay, usually paper number 2 in the optionals usually talks about Indian concepts. Just like that, even anthropology paper number 2 talks about the Indian anthropology. Okay, so now let us see what is actually mentioned in the paper number 2. Okay, so this is once again a very most important and interesting topic. So here 1.1 is talking about, in paper number 1, paper number 2, 1.1 is talking about evolution of Indian culture and the civilization. Okay, here you need to understand one thing. So do you remember this 1.8? In paper number 1 what we have discussed, and 1.3 in which archaeological anthropology is present. Okay, so these are all actually clubbed under one topic, that is called as the archaeological anthropology. So after the complete, so this is once again a new segment. Okay, so after the completion of socio-cultural anthropology or physical anthropology, we will start the archaeological anthropology, and the sequence what we follow is, after the completion of 1.3, that is for archaeological anthropology, next we will complete 1.8, and then we will come to 1.1 straight away in the paper 2. Okay, if you are not amalgamating the subject in that way, okay, what will happen? The sequence will get missed. Okay, so 1.1 talks about the evolution of Indian culture, civilization, and once again we will actually study about the prehistoric culture starting from the Paleolithic to Chalcolithic. Okay, and next let us see the second topic is the demographic profile of India. So did we study about the demographic profile in the paper number 1? Okay, so we will amalgamate this topic also, the demographic profile of India, the population, how it is segregated. Okay, what are the traits, the physical traits, what they are possessing. We will study about this second chapter here. And next comes the third one, the structure and the nature of traditional Indian social system. Okay, this has got to do with the ancient Indian society, the Rigvedic society. Okay, in the Rigvedic society, the early Rigvedic society and the later Rigvedic society, we will inherit some concepts from that. Okay, but apart from that, there is some anthropological touch to it. Okay, it is not the same one and the same what you study in the history. The same thing you cannot actually write the same answer in anthropology. Apart from that, more than that, we will actually study, that is the structure and the nature of the traditional Indian societies. Okay, there are many concepts, the Varna system, Rina, rebirth. Okay, we will study about all these concepts. And next comes the third point, 3.2, that is a caste system in India. The caste is once again a very unique feature which you usually find in the Indian society. Lot of aspirants, they get confused. They think that Varna and caste system are one and the same. They think that Varna and the caste system are one and the same, but the logic is that they are not one and the same, they are different. Okay, so Varna system, caste system is completely which is imaged based on the profession. Varna system has a reference in the Rigvedic society. It is actually mentioned in Rigveda. Caste system is not present in the Rigveda. Okay, caste is not mentioned in Rigveda. Okay, so the difference between Varna and caste system, how did they actually emerge? What is the role which is playing? It is a segregation of the society. Okay, so study about all these concepts. That is the third 3.2. And next, moving on, 3.3, that is the sacred complex, nature, man, spirit and complex. Okay, n number of times these questions completely. Our syllabus is so static, lot of times from paper 2. Okay, constantly they revolve around the same thing. What is the sacred complex? For an example, if you go to Gaya, if you come to Tirupati, Tirumala, okay, so have you ever felt they are so sacred in nature? Okay, nature, man and spirit. Spirit, what do you mean by spirit? Spirit is nothing but soul. Okay, nature, do we worship the nature? Yes, the elements which are present in the nature. For an example, just take the example of Hinduism. Agni, okay, one of the thing which is present in the nature, we worship it. Vayu, that is nothing but the air, we worship it. Water, we worship it. Okay, so these are all certain things we will study in 3.3. And next comes the 3.4, impact of Buddhism, Jainism, Islam, Christianity on the Indian society. Here we need to focus on one thing. Buddhism, Jainism are two such religions which are born in our country, but right now they are not that popular in our country. Especially Buddhism is not popular in our country, but Jainism is still continuing. But Christianity and Islam, the second largest religious people in our country, they belong to Islam. Why? Because the rulers has actually embraced this religion. Okay, so next comes the Christianity. So how it has impacted our Indian society, we will definitely study it. Okay, and next, even the Gandhiji, lot of times in his saying, he said that he has got this ahimsa dharma, what he has imbibed, the ahimsa dharma, which he has actually taken reference from the Bible, from the Buddhism as well as Jainism, and there are also many other things which Islam has impacted our society. The fourth topic, that is the emergence, growth and development of anthropology in India. How anthropology has developed, the thinkers who has contributed a lot for the development of anthropology in our country. And the fifth topic, that is the Indian village, the villages which are still sustaining in India. Okay, so what is the village system, and the thinkers who has contributed a lot in studying these villages, we will study about that. And next comes the 5.2, that is the linguistic religious minorities, their social, political and economic status. Okay, here comes the polity part, the linguistic minorities. Okay, so we will study about that. Only certain topics which are related to polity are dealt here. Who are these minorities? What is the status of them? Okay, what is the constitutional safeguards which are given to them? What about their society, the political dynamics which are involved, and the economic status which are related to them. And next comes the 5.3, indigenous exogenous processes of socio-cultural change in the Indian society. What do you mean by indigenous? Something which happens within the territory of our country, within the boundaries of our country, and certain changes which happens because of the outer factors. For an example, in my childhood, I really don't know that Halloween festival is celebrated even in our country. But right now, if I'm seeing, okay, lot of kids in their childhood only they are celebrating Halloween festival. Halloween festival is not that important festival in our country. Okay, the outside factors, because the impact of globalization. Okay, right now we are also celebrating certain kinds of things. Okay, next comes the sixth chapter. From the sixth chapter starts the tribal anthropology. Okay, the tribal situation in India. Why we need to study about them? 8.6% of the population of our country, they belong to the tribal people only. Okay, so we study about them, the tribal anthropology, and next comes the 6.2, the problems of the tribal communities. What are the various types of the problems which they are usually facing? And next thing, 6.3, developmental project, the impact of the tribal displacement and the problems of the rehab. Okay, and next comes the 7.1, the seventh chapter, problems of exploitation, deprivation of the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and the other backward classes, the vulnerable societies. Okay, usually the constitutions of the countries usually frame in certain way, so the vulnerable societies are also included in the country. Inclusive development, we call about the inclusive development. Even the once upon a time when the 5-year plans used to exist, we call it as the inclusive development only. Okay, so we will try to understand how these people are exploited and how they are deprived, what is the problems which they have faced, the historical backwardness, and lot of times this debate usually comes whether the reservations for the SCs and STs should be continued or not. If you are a person from other caste and you don't know about the history of them, then usually you may be against the reservation system which is availed by this section of the people, whether that is justified or not, why the government is continuing that. Okay, we will discuss about all these things in the chapter 7.1. 7.2 talks about the social change and the contemporary tribal societies, how the tribal societies are also evolving. And next comes the 7.3, the concept of ethnicity, ethnic people. Okay, so in this class only I have mentioned about the Rohingya Muslims. Apart from that, there are also many ethnic people, the ethnic problems. Okay, right now Jews, what are the problems which they has faced during the Second World War. Okay, in the Middle East, what are the problems, why these ethnic clashes are happening, the great USSR has disintegrated. Okay, so there is some ethnicity, the concept of ethnicity, we will study about it. 8.1 talks about once again the impact of Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, and other religions on the tribal societies. Initially we have studied about the impact of these religions on the Indian society, but now we will study about how these religions has impacted even the tribal societies as well. If you go to northeast, in Nagaland, okay, the majority section of the people, they follow Christianity. Okay, meaty and cookies, or the ongoing conflict which is continuing. Cookies are mostly, usually they have embraced this Christianity. We will study about all these things. 8.2 talks about the tribe and nation state. The tribal and the nation state, these two are the different concept. So how we are going to merge this? Once again, straight away the question will come in the examination. Okay, and after that 9.1 talks about the history of administration of the tribal areas. So the schedule number 5 and schedule number 6 talks about that. Okay, and the other articles in the constitution which talks about the administration of this. Okay, so article number 338, we will study about all these things. And next comes the 9.2, the role of anthropology in the tribal rural development. And 9.3 talks about the contributions of the anthropology, understanding the regionalism, communalism, ethnic and political movements. Even after 1947 we have received independence. After that also we saw many issues related to the regionalism, and Andhra Pradesh is one such state which has actually immediately after 1947 we fought the long 40 years war, a 40 years battle for the separate statehood. Okay, so that there are some regionalism, communalist problems which we are still facing in our country, ethnic and political movements. Okay, so next That's we have completed our syllabus. Let us actually understand the reference books. Okay, so what are the reference books? Okay, so for physical anthropology 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 9, 10, 11 and 12 in paper number 1. So usually you should refer EPG Pathshala content for MA, but those students who has enrolled for our classroom program, that is offline and online, whatever the material I am giving, that is more than enough. But yet if you want to refer more other books, okay, EPG Pathshala content for MA and PNAth Physical Anthropology, ST Gagnon Human Genetics, and next we have Ember and Ember, Steen and Rowe Physical Anthropology. And next if you see, for the socio-cultural anthropology, unit 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 2, 3, 5, 7 and 8. Okay, so these are the books. EPG Pathshala content for MA, Ember and Ember, Introducing Sociology, NCERT, Class 11, Humanity and Introduction to the Cultural Anthropology and Introduction to the Social Anthropology by D.N. Majumdar. Okay, next third, that is Anthropological Theories, unit 6. For this, once again EPG Pathshala, Ember and Ember, and Introduction to the Anthropological Thought by Makanja. And next we see the History of Anthropological Thought by Vijayas Upadhyay Pandey. So usually we call it as Pandey. And fourth, Archaeological Anthropology, that is 1.8 in paper 1 and 2. In the paper 2, that is 1.1, 1.2 and 1.3. So these are the books what you need to refer. And next, additional resources for paper 1. Okay, so these are the additional resources. There are many YouTube videos, crash course on anthropologies. Okay, so the major concepts posted by universities like Yale, specific topics like kinship, religion, documentaries, human evolution, genetics and DNA. See, these are certain things which you have to refer. The thing is that if you are going through all these things, it will take more than 2 years. Okay, in order to cut short all your effort, so I have prepared that kind of material which is foolproof mostly. Okay, it covers almost like 95% of the syllabus, but we can take that 5% of edge. Okay, but yet if you are interested, please go through all these things, and these are certain things which you need to cover if you are preparing all by yourself. And for paper 2, for second chapter, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8th and 9th, okay, these are the books what you need to refer. And for tribal anthropology, okay, Tribal India by Nadeem Hasnain, and next Tribal Culture of India by LP Vidyarthi, Indian Society, NCERT class 12th and EPG Pathshala content for MA. Okay, so additional resources for paper 2, so just follow these things. And next, reference books. Okay, so these are all the most important reference books, Ember and Ember, Upadhyay and Gaya Pandey. Okay, I apologize here. Okay, History of Anthropological Thought, Nadeem Hasnain, Pre-Archaeology by D.K. Bhattacharya, IGNO MAN program, and maybe Bharat videos on the tribals, Buria Zaza committee, Shiloh, and B.K. Roy Burman, Kharge Mota committee. Okay, so these are all certain things which you can usually refer, and that these are the reference website what you can go through. And magazines, so please go through these magazines every time, please go through whenever they are getting released. Okay, so I hope I have completely given a complete detailed explanation about the syllabus, the common doubts you have, the reference books, okay, the reference tutorial and elaborate discussion on the syllabus. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed this video. We'll meet in the other session. Stay tuned till then. Take care and bye bye.